Hello, how are you? How is everybody? I have a dog breathing on me heavily. I don't know if you guys can hear him, so it's not very pleasant, I have to tell you. Oh, okay. So let me know if you're watching. Now I've got another dog hassling me. Let me know if you're watching, because I can see your comments on YouTube, and if you are watching via Facebook, you will see here on the Facebook thing, you'll see a link to StreamYard. If you join that link, you will be able to, if you click on the link, I'll be able to see your comments in StreamYard, which will be good. As opposed to me having to jump in, find the comment in and work out who I'm talking to. So yeah, if you can do that, that would be doing me a favor. But today we're going to be talking about cameras. But firstly, I just wanted to mention that yesterday I dropped the YouTube / podcast episode. Hang on, dogs are going to have a fight right there. Can we not do this, please? Mr. Big's a little bit upset for some reason. All right. Anyway, where were we? Yes, on when training stalls. So many of you have some ups and downs. You can see no link. Okay. I shall. Hang on. Wait there. Just let me find the video. I'll drop it in the comments. Very annoying. I think. Yeah, okay. Yeah, something went funny. All right, I really need you to get off me, boy. I can't type and do this at the same time. It is StreamYard.com/Facebook. Try that, Kathleen. If it doesn't work, don't worry about it. Hopefully it will work. Right. And there, that's it there. I think. Right, so where were you? Yes, so many of you have been probably training and struggling with some variability in your training. Things can go up and down. While we'd like a nice, smooth, linear line, things happen, and sometimes we have some ups and downs. So if you jump on the link I shared in the group, or if you're listening apps, hey there, how you going? Or if you like to listen to your podcasts instead of watching us, you can find us on all good listening apps. It's Tails from the Doghouse, TAILS from the Doghouse, Separation Anxiety Explained, or jump on my website and you can find it there too, but otherwise use the YouTube link. So cameras, why do we use cameras? So they are pretty essential if you've got a dog with separation anxiety to help you with your training. If you don't use cameras, you will find that you don't know what your dog is doing when you're not there, and you won't be able to ensure that they don't go over threshold. I'm just going to jump into the group a minute because I know some of you did comment on the post I made. So I did ask how many of you use cameras when you leave your dog, and what do you see and what does your dog do? So Jason says mine barks and howls for hours, and he only just knew this. So this is such an interesting comment. So he's not the only person. So he had no idea that his dog was going over threshold, none whatsoever. Then he put in his cameras and found out that she was barking and howling for hours when she was left alone. And he says, horrifying to learn. So doesn't that tell you how important it is to get a camera on our dogs? And Cassie agrees, said that's exactly what they're going through as well. They just installed cameras and her dog does the same thing. And Jason said he's amazed that his neighbors didn't complain. And I'm surprised too, actually. Maybe they're at work, Jason. And Kathleen says, like my neighbors, they are angels and like animals. You're lucky, Kathleen, that they are. Penny says her dog sits in her bed where she can see the door where we come and go from, and occasionally throws her head back and howls, sometimes worse than others. Yeah, and that's often the case. They can have their ups and downs. Sometimes they're worse than other times. And Chrissy says, oh, that's not about cameras. Sabina says, mine looks sad, then seems to just sit and look around and then goes to the neighbour's shared deck. Well, I think it's kind of nice that he or she has got a shared deck to go and sit on. And Kathleen, we'll come back to your question in a minute. But Kathleen says, you've got cameras in the backyards. He sniffs the air, barks at a passerby or pedestrians, rests on his cot on the patio, walks and sniffs the boundary. The garage, the garage, when you used to leave him in the garage, was horrible, total panic and running around the garage and running back and forth, barking in the backyard. And that's good information to have, Kathleen. You now know that the garage isn't a great place for him, so you can avoid it. And we leave him in the house in his crate. Yeah, there's a camera on him while we are gone, and he curls up and sleeps like a baby. Yeah, cameras are so important because we know when we've got dogs with separation anxiety that we don't want them to go over threshold, because if they go over threshold, we're instilling in them that they're being home alone is scary and they don't like that, and it can lead to escalation of behavior and escalation of the panic. So that is why we need cameras. They are essential. We will not be able to keep track of what our dog's doing when we're not there. We won't know how to avoid those over threshold moments if we don't have a camera on them. The other thing I'll mention about watching them on camera, live feed is also essential. So we don't want to record it and watch it later because, again, you cannot see what's going on in real time. And if you can't see what's going on in real time, you can't avoid those over threshold moments. So hopefully that makes sense. I'll just get rid of that. Yeah, so we need the cameras. We don't want our dogs to go over threshold, and we need to watch on a live feed, because watching a recording, if your dog starts panicking, you can't do anything about it because it's not in real time. So watching on a live feed is really, really essential. Can't stress that enough. So there are a gazillion types of cameras. So I can't really talk about all of them or any of them really in that sense. I can't, there's brands. There's so many different brands. Common ones would be Ring, Nest, Wyse. I don't even know how to pronounce it properly. It might be Wyse, W-Y-S-E. There's all sorts of cameras, but it doesn't have to be expensive. Oh my goodness. So it doesn't have to be expensive. It can be relatively cheap. You use Ring? Do you like Ring? Who said that? Let me find the feed because I can't see who's talking. Ring, Kathleen. Did you try clicking on that link, Kathleen? And I can see you in StreamYard. What was I saying? Free options could be so simple and they don't have to cost much. Zoom has 40 minutes free on theirs. So as long as you've got two devices, your phone, which you will have with you, and a laptop or a tablet or, something, you can do a Zoom call and you've got a 40-minute window for free. There's Skype, so S-K-Y-P-E, Skype. Microsoft Teams. I did it and it said it was done. Well, don't worry about it. Microsoft Teams, Google Meets. So there's lots of free options if you find them. I like Zoom particularly because if you've got several different devices, you can set them up. So sometimes dogs don't hang out where we expect. They might move around a little bit. But if you've got several devices, we know you can set them up. I love it when my clients put one, say lots of dogs sit by the door. That's where they like to hang out, and they'll just sit by the door waiting. If they've got a camera on the back of the door, they can, like a phone, for example, they can put it at dog height. And usually we've got old spare phones lying around the house. You just need to tap into the Wi-Fi. You don't need a SIM or anything. and put it at the dog's height. So down for greyhounds and chihuahuas, for dashies and chihuahuas, up for greyhounds, etc. And you could put it at looking at their face, so we can see the eyes, the mouth, what's going on there. And so that's a really good option, and I really like the Zoom for that reason. Another free option, and I did have a client do this. I can't remember why she didn't use Zoom, but anyway, she was doing Facebook Lives. So you guys know I go live on Facebook. This is a live to the group. Now, you would not want to do a Facebook Live and make it public on your personal profile, but you can set it at only me. So you would set up your device, Facebook Live, say you've got a laptop or something, set it up Facebook Live wherever the dog is located, join the live on your phone, set the settings for only me on your laptop, because you don't want everybody watching your dog pottering around the house. But that's a really good, cheap option. Really is. Now, Kathleen had a question on talking to your dog through your camera. So you can buy quite expensive cameras called Furbos, and I think there's some other ones as well, where you can talk to your dog. And some of them dispense treats as well. I don't recommend them for training personally, for a couple of reasons. So you could potentially, well, firstly, it can freak your dog out. So if you did get one, you would want to test it while you were there first and make sure your dog understands that this weird voice is going to come out of this machine. But even then, even if your dog was comfortable while you were there with it, when you're not there and your dog knows that you're not there and this strange voice comes out, it could panic your dog. So that would be my first reason not to use it, just in case. The second reason is if, for example, your dog started barking, maybe it wasn't even anxious, maybe it was just barking, and your dog started, and you start talking to your dog saying, no, Fido, no, Fido, and the dog was quiet, and then you can dispense a treat. So your timing has to be pretty good. If you screw up your timing, you could be in trouble, because what could happen is Fido's barking, you say, no, Fido, Fido's quiet, you dispense the treat. Yes, it could encourage Fido to be quiet. But what if your timing is wrong? My dog just is choking now. If your timing's wrong, you could actually encourage the barking. You could, if you don't get your timing just perfect, you could actually be dispensing the treat while Fido is barking. And it might not even be your fault. So Fido might start barking. You say, no, Fido, Fido's quiet. You dispense the treat, but Fido barks. As the treat is being dispensed, then Fido is getting rewarded for barking. So you don't want that. The other thing about them is Fido starts, this is the third reason I don't recommend talking to them and these types of things for this training. Fido's barking. You say, no, Fido, no. Fido keeps barking. What are you going to do about it? You can't reward it, and you can't correct it either. And Fido's still barking. So for that reason, it doesn't sort of make any sense to me to use cameras, use that type of camera. So three pretty good reasons, I think. Yeah. Any questions? Did that answer your question, Kathleen? I think so. I just think it's too dangerous to use. You might be lucky, it might work, but I'm just not comfortable with it. Not comfortable. Yeah, any other questions, anybody? Might be a short one today. But I can't recommend certain brands because, I mean, I haven't tried many of them. I wouldn't have a clue. The times I've recorded my dogs, I have used my iPad and my phone and used a Zoom call, I think. Yeah, Zoom, yeah. And it was really annoying because something triggered them and they started barking. And it wasn't anxiety related. Something was outside and they were barking, and I'm watching it. I'm down the road at the shops going, I can't do anything about it. I wasn't going to rush home for that because I knew they weren't stressed. It was just something that was outside, and I'm like, I wouldn't want to be my neighbours at the moment. Yeah. So sometimes it can be a little bit of a curse having a camera on your dog. Sometimes it's better not to know what's going on if your dog hasn't got separation anxiety. But of course, if it does, then you do want to know. You do need it when you're doing the training, particularly. And if you did some training and your dog was okay to be home alone for 4 hours or more, and you knew you could go out, I would still keep a camera on them. But I wouldn't be watching it constantly. I would be looking at them every now and then, because I think you can, once you know you've got a certain amount of time, whether it's an hour or 4 hours, that window, you don't want to be looking at your phone for 4 hours. You want to know you've got your window where you don't have to look at them. I had one client, he was on 4-hour absences. That dog flew through training. And he went for motorbike rides, and he'd stop like once every hour and have a look. And he was always making sure he was home right at the end of the time. So as it drew closer to where the dog's threshold might be, he was always making sure he was close by, like outside basically, so he could make sure the dog didn't go over threshold. But he knew he had a decent window. It is certainly distracting when you're out. Yes, yeah, it is. I'm sure, assuming that's Kathleen. Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to be looking at that all the time. No, don't. At some point, we have to go, okay, my dog can definitely go for X amount of time. I don't need to stare at my phone for the whole time. I can drop in and out. And it might be that you've got the audio on, so you might be able to hear if there's an issue, as opposed to staring at your phone constantly. At some point, in your training, when you know you've reached a certain part of your training, it's a good idea. But yeah, any other questions? I think I've covered everything about cameras that I can think of. Position, placement, camera placement. So the more comfortable our dogs are, the more they might move around. So some dogs hang out by the front door. Lots of dogs hang out by windows, by doors. What we like to see is once they get more comfortable, they might move to a different area. Once they do start doing that, you kind of have to be a little bit more creative with your cameras. So whatever that looks like, that might be, cameras in different rooms. That's why I like Zoom, because you've got it all in one sort of spot. Or it could just be that you move your camera to a different position so you get a different angle. But sometimes you have to get a little bit creative with your cameras. I'm at the point where I know my dog is going to be well gone. And thankfully, my house is very small. The one camera I have captures the area with audio, good, and is perfect. It's the best tool I've ever spent money on, and it's a really cheap camera. Yeah, it doesn't have to be expensive, does it, Roxanne? It really, really doesn't. And I mean, yeah. At the point where I know my dog is going to be, you know where your dog is going to be. Sorry, I misread that. And thankfully, my house is very small. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, as long as you can see what your dog is doing, that's perfect. And obviously, like I said earlier, if you can get more of the body or the face, positioning can be quite complicated, but it's very valuable. It can give you some really good, valuable information. So that's really good, Kathleen. I'm sorry, Roxanne. Any more questions on cameras? We covered it all. I do want to mention I did it a couple of weeks ago. I did a boot camp sort of thing and a masterclass. I'm repeating that not next week, but the week after. Oh, I have to mention too, I've got a special guest next week for this live. I'll tell you in a sec. She'll be good. So the boot camp will be running from September the 26th to the 28th. That'll be the 25th to the 27th if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, depending on where you are. And that will be all about, does my dog have separation anxiety and how do I identify it? So some of you would have attended the last one, but if you're new to the group, you might want to attend this one. And then after that, on the 28th, 29th, there'll be 4 options for times for a masterclass, the 4-step blueprint to start decoding your dog's separation and anxiety. That will be the 27th and 28th for the Northern Hemisphere, unless you're in England, which will probably be the same dates. I know it's confusing. All shall be explained as we go. But that's all you need to know at the moment, so stay tuned for that. But next week, I have Lisa Spector as a special guest. It'll be the same time as this one. So Lisa, I don't know if any of you know, was she started Through the Dog's Ears, which is kind of calming music for pets. She's not part of that now. She sold that business. She's got a new business called My Zen Pet. And again, it's for dogs that suffer from anxiety, separation anxiety, noise phobia, just any kind of anxiety. She's going to come on next week. She's going to play us some piano music, and she'll talk about what type of music you need to listen to, what's the best way of introducing it to your dog, and all that sort of stuff. So she's going to be really good, and I'll be announcing that kind of Monday, but you guys heard it here first. So yeah, you'll definitely want to be here for that one. Yeah. If you're watching on the replay, give me a thumbs up. Let me know. If you need help with your dog, if your dog has got, I imagine that's a telemarketer. Yeah, if you need help with your dog, if your dog's got separation anxiety and you don't know where to start or how to get there or how to get across the line, reach out to me at nessjones.com. That's my website. You can book a 30-minute Zoom call with me. It's free, and I can tell you how I can help you. Other than that, it's a nice short one today. Unless anybody's got any final comments, I shall get off here. My dog, what's this say? My dog has such a hard time with fireworks. Yes, fireworks. So does mine. My big boy, the one that was panting heavily in my face. Sorry. Okay, yeah, hang on, wait there. Yeah, Roxanne, fireworks is shocking. And my boy is really, really noise phobic. Thunderstorms, fireworks, any kind of gunshot sort of noise. Roxanne, I don't know if you're in America, but it must be so hard for you over there, because I know you've got 4th of July fireworks. We don't get fireworks here so much, maybe mainly at Christmas time, or, like New Year's Eve sort of thing. So not too bad over here. But yeah, it's not nice. Lisa will talk you through all that, and she has got some programs around that as well. Kathleen, the second class, it's a master class. So the boot camp is going to be the same time as these, but it will be your Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, not the week coming, the next Sunday, one after that. So the 25th to the 27th, and they'll be just half-hour ones. Does my dog have separation anxiety? How to identify it? And what questions we need to ask around that. The masterclass is the 4-step blueprint to start decoding your dog's separation anxiety. I did run that again a couple of weeks ago, but I'll be rerunning it. So that will be good. And that's going to go for about an hour, just over an hour. So it'll be a proper full-on sort of coaching thing, which you should attend. What's this? We found out last night that our dog is panicked to earthquakes. Oh, earthquakes. Oh, gosh. Well, it does not surprise me about the earthquakes. Did you know when there was the earthquake in Thailand a few years back, or, hit Thailand and that area, and there was a tsunami and all that, they were saying the animals knew about it well before it happened. They were like trying to get out of the area. So they pick up on so much stuff that I can imagine my dogs would be scared of an earthquake as well. So that's pretty scary. Because you're in California, aren't you, Kathleen, I think? Yeah. it's scary. I've been in an earthquake, just little ones where the ground is literally moving beneath your feet, just tiny little ones, not big ones. I would not want to live in San Francisco. I know that's on a fault line. That would scare. I just couldn't live there. New Zealand. I'm actually from New Zealand. That's also on a fault line. It's pretty scary too. So yeah, not surprised. Your dog freaked out at that. Not surprised at all. Cool. We are in just north of San Francisco. Oh yeah, scary. No, don't like that. Earthquakes are scary things. Yeah. Okay, well, right, I think I've covered everything. I think I've covered everything. So stay tuned for next week, Lisa Spector, and I'll give you all her details so you can find out more about her programs. But she'll be playing some music for us, and I'm sure we'll all be feeling nice and relaxed when she does that. She's a very accomplished pianist, and she understands the frequency that the dog needs to hear to feel calmer. Really interesting stuff. She did do a podcast episode with us as well, so if anybody's interested, you can go and listen to that as well. But that was specifically for separation anxiety. So I'm sure, Roxanne, if you want to ask some questions around storm or noise phobia, she'll be happy to answer them too and point you in the right direction. And then, yeah, just stay tuned. The week after will be the boot camp and the masterclass. So thank you for joining me. As I said, if you're watching on the replay, please let me know. Otherwise, I shall see you next week. See ya.